What's up, guys? Welcome into Good Morning Lambeau. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. You can find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. I'm joined alongside Tim live in a balmy Green Bay, Wisconsin. And, we're ready to talk a little ball this morning. Took the night off. Hopefully no one was too upset about it, but went out to dinner and then I woke up this morning and said, man, we're not going to make it by 9 o'clock. So it's funny, Tim, you take a little bit of time off and it's easy to take a little more time off. And now you're late. And it's why I don't like to do vacations, man. But anyway, how you doing this morning, buddy?
Doing good, man. Got a little dusting of snow up here and enjoying the beautiful winter weather,
Absolutely. Matter of fact, let's just lead off with that, man. Going around, I think this was from last night. So this was, data as of 10 p.m. last night. Sturgeon Bay had 14 inches. For those of you who don't know that aren't in the Green Bay area, essentially you've got Green Bay that sits right there in the bay, right? And then you've got the peninsula that runs up to the northeast, and that's Door County. Sturgeon Bay's up there, right, Tim? Am I thinking right? It's up in that area. It's beautiful up there. It's actually where Curly Lambeau, I think, lived at the time of his death, if I remember correctly. But then I think I'm saying this correct. Is it Alloway? Is that how you say that?
Yep, Alloway.
Nailed it. 13 inches there. Stockbridge got 12. Green Bay was sitting at 11. But, Tim, these are faulty numbers now, aren't they, my friend?
Yeah, maybe. There might be a little skewed. That's from last night. We got a lot of drifts and stuff like that. There's a good shot right there, Paul Brettel. Yeah. So Paul Brettel's in Swamico. That's not far from us, but yeah, that's exactly what we're dealing with, you guys, up to your waist.
He's looking into the abyss on this tweet. I love it.
And we've got this morning here, we've got a few hours to make the mad dash to clear your driveway and your sidewalks before all this stuff freezes. We'll have below zero temperatures by this time tomorrow, probably. So
yeah, that is
good old Wisconsin winter weather, man. You got to love it.
Yeah. Carly Ray in the chat says, we only got about an inch and a half. I wanted more.
You wanted more? Are you nuts? Come on, Carly. Yeah. Carly, you can come do my driveway. Come shovel my driveway with me.
Jen Wright said, holy man, 5 inches here in Milwaukee. We were talking about that offline there, wasn't we, Tim? A little bit different up there in the Bay, isn't it, buddy?
Yeah, exactly. I'm learning that. I'm getting my first winter here experience in Green Bay, and it's a different ball game up here. That's for sure.
Definitely. Number one Packer fan said, at the grocery store with the wife, listening to PTA, trust me, it helps the time go faster. I like to throw a little earbud in when Mandy's shopping too, man. I know she's thinking he's usually in a bad mood when we're shopping. Yeah, I'm listening to somebody break down some tape or something, or a historical NFL documentary. But anyway, nonetheless, good stuff, man. I don't know. I like the cold weather, the snow. Yeah, I mean, Carly hit the nail on the head. I love snow. So do my kids. It's I don't know, man. Ever since I was a kid, it was just something that was a blast, man. It takes you back too. It takes you back. I remember those days, getting snowed out of school and you're up late waiting for them to call to cancel school, which canceling school down here is a lot different than it is up there. Obviously, you guys got to have probably 6 feet of snow before they cancel stuff up there. But down here, we were just give us a little dusting on the road, man. A little dusting. Then you break out the hot chocolate. The way we rolled was football. As soon as the snow started to fly, the phone started ringing at the house. This is before cell phones. I'm dating myself here. But and it was just everybody in the neighborhood. Hey, let's go. What time are we playing? And get out there and play in the snow. Play football in the snow, man. It was just awesome. So good stuff there. I'll tell you what else got out in the snow yesterday, Tim. It's QB1. I think it was either yesterday or the day before. That would have been yesterday, right? Yeah. So on Twitter, Allie Adams, I hope I'm saying that name right because it's got an E in it there. But it's at Allie Karowski and says, OMG, Jordan Love helping my niece out of a snowdrift. What can't he do? That's my quarterback with the
it's my quarterback.
Exactly. How cool is that? That's what's beautiful about Green Bay, man. Show me the picture of Justin Fields digging a car out for a fan, bro. You know what I'm saying? Small town Green Bay. I remember the first time I went up there, ran into Nick Barnett. I mean, I don't know, about a mile from the stadium. I told Manny, I'm like, man, I got this awesome spa day set up for you, hon. We're good to go. This is back when we were dating. She's going all the way to Green Bay with me. I'm going to make it kind of, her day there. We rolled up in the parking lot and went, it's Nick Barnett come out of the spa. I was just like, what the world? So Pretty cool stuff. This is what you see in Green Bay, though, right? Yeah, I know you had a little bit of an interaction with Emmanuel Wilson earlier this year too, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. The players are part of the community up here. Even guys that don't live here, year round or whatever, they're embedded in the community during the season. And I think Jordan helping this young lady out, that's just a testament to really who he is, and obviously what the Packers are all about, service and helping the community, of course. But I think it's just a shining example of Jordan Love just being a kid who was raised right by his parents and looks out for someone in need, and you love to see it, man. It's just proud that he's a Packer, grateful that he's going to be here for the long term, and we got a lot of guys like that on this team, I'm sure. But really cool moment for that young lady there, and just Jordan showing his true colors, man. That's what it's all about up here, man.
And I think it was Andy Herman that tweeted it out too, and he just couldn't have said it any better. He quoted Matt LaFleur just a few weeks ago when he said, "Jordan's about the right shit." Right?
Yeah.
Like you can just tell, like you said, he was raised right, man. And you seen it when he was coming out of college too. Everybody was talking about, what kind of leader is he, this and that, and everyone said he's got his dad's personality, and they said his dad was just an absolutely amazing man. So. Obviously a police officer, all that stuff. So some people go, Clayton, you mentioned that a lot, and I'm going to continue to because it's important. It's important that we show respect for and appreciation for the people who protect and serve our communities. Police officers, firefighters, paramedics, all that stuff that put their life on the line constantly. They're running towards danger when everyone else is running away from it. And also our armed forces. You guys know I'm not pro-war, but I'm pro-warrior. And
right.
Those men and women that are just constantly making sacrifices for us to be able to sit here and talk about a silly little game is just, man, it's humbling. It is, but
it really is, and it's great to see that that life of service. Even though Jordan took a different path than his parents, but that life of service is instilled in him, and I'm no different. I'm the son of a law enforcer too. My father, my grandfather were cops. Like that. When you're brought up that way, it's like Jordan said at the beginning of the season, me second. That's his mantra, me second. You put others first, and think about someone besides yourself for a change. That we could use a lot more of that in the world. So salute to Jordan Love, man, for just being a good dude, beyond being a great quarterback, just a great dude.
Yeah. The band he wears too, right? Says I am second.
Yeah, I am second. Yep.
It's cool. It's awesome. On the field though, PFF Packers tweeted this out and said Jordan Love, 25 passing touchdowns in the red zone this season, second in the NFL. Keep in mind, that was even with him struggling in the red zone there in that first quarter of the season. So it just really shows you how much he's turned it on here in the second half of the season and really the back third. It's just – this is the difference between them winning games and losing games, Red zone defense, red zone scoring. People don't want to hear it. They want to look at all the specific analytics and the DVOAs and this. And it's like situational football, it freaking matters. It matters. And I was hearing people talk about this Dallas matchup and how it's so important that they don't just settle for field goals and you got to go down there looking to score touchdowns because it's going to probably be a track meet. I don't think anybody's expecting our defense to be able to shut down Dallas. They may surprise us, and I hope they do. But this is probably going to be one of those games where it's just going to be, exchanging blows constantly. And as that happens, I mean, that makes for some really exciting football. I don't know. Jordan's he's so poised right now, man. It's exciting stuff. Matter of fact, I got another stat here. I know we got Jacob joining us. Jacob, how you doing this morning, buddy? You snowed in up there, or you holding?
Nah, he didn't get nothing over there.
I only got like 4 or 5 inches. It wasn't anything.
What's that? How much?
4 or 5.
What?
Yeah.
Hey,
4 or 5 inches. That's it.
That's what she said.
All right, so we're expecting 1 to 3 down here on Monday. So you guys pray for us here in the South. All right, it's going to get ugly down here.
Get the broom out.
Sidewalk. Yeah. So, but when you talk about the specific stats there, this was a really cool thing that was put together. At Badger Noonan, okay, at Badger Noonan on Twitter. Go give him a follow, like, all that stuff. Retweet this for him. He said the best chart. So I'm going to try to explain this for those of you on the pod, okay? you've got these different websites now where you can take two different statistics and throw them on a chart together, like an X and Y, right? And kind of show the trajectory, not just the trajectory, but where you land in conjunction with both of those statistics, okay? And what they did was they took win probability 0 to 100%, okay? So you're good. It includes everything there, right? Regular weeks 9 through 18. So this is only weeks 9 through 18, okay? So keep that in mind. Basically the second half of the season. No playoff games, obviously. A minimum of 304 plays. The 4 made me go, why did y'all do 4? That's interesting. But anyway, 304 plays. Downs 1 through 4, so every down, and all quarters. All right. So on the left side of the screen, you'll see running vertically. You've got EPA per pass or per play. Okay, and that includes passes, rushes, and penalties. All right. So EPA per play. You guys know EPA is a metric SIS it uses religiously. It's expected points added. Okay. Now on the bottom side, you've got, running horizontally at the bottom of the chart, you've got completion percentage above expected, or CPOE. So to explain to you guys what CPOE is, it's completion percentage over expected, over or under the expected completion percentage based on historical averages, factoring in depth of target, opponent strength, down and distance, location on the field, and game script. So they tried to really, really get a detailed version, okay, a detailed version of completion percentage, essentially, over what's expected, what's happened historically in those situations. All right. So when you got that on that part of the chart running horizontally on the bottom, the EPA per play running vertically, now you put in the quarterbacks and where they rank. Okay. Really what you've got here is there's two quarterbacks that have separated themselves from everyone else in the league in weeks 9 through 18. Those quarterbacks are Dak Prescott and Jordan Love. So if I'm reading the chart correctly, Dak Prescott is at the very, very top at 0.30 in EPA per play, right? But if you go horizontally with completion percentage above expected, or CPOE, Jordan Love is significantly better than Dak Prescott in that regard, well over 4, and Dak is barely at 4. I would say he's probably closer to 6 if this chart is distanced correctly. So what's the point of this chart? Basically, the two best quarterbacks in the second half of the season are going head-to-head tomorrow in Dallas in Jerry World. When you look at some of these other names too, guys, I mean, Lamar Jackson, everybody's talking about he's probably the MVP, right? Now, I don't know, maybe Dak edges him out. I don't keep up with individual awards very much, right? But Lamar Jackson's significantly lower in both of these in the second half of the season. Maybe he started strong, right? Tua Tagovailoa is third in completion percentage above expected, but significantly lower in EPA per play, which shows you, how that shakes out. Patrick Mahomes, bad year. Look at where Patrick Mahomes and Justin Fields are. Ain't that wild?
It's crazy.
And that they're so close. But nonetheless, poor Bryce Young, man, that's a rough year there with a supporting cast, and now he's got to do it with a whole new coaching staff. So, but anyway, what sticks out to you here, Jacob? We'll start with you, man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like you said, it's just that grouping of guys that you wouldn't expect. When you hear the name Jordan Love, you don't necessarily group it in with, Lamar Jackson, Tua, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. When you look at this, Mahomes, you look at this chart, and it's not just that he's a little bit better. I mean, he's far and away. And again, like we keep reiterating that this is still, it's technically year 4-ish, but year 1 of him being the guy. And it's just, I don't know, man. The more, and this is a team that, like, everybody talks about how young we are. Imagine just, again, 2 years, 3 years, when these guys have built chemistry, trust each other. The injury bug isn't 18 people long every single week. And we're doing this with a team that it kind of defies all odds. So to me, I mean, I really do think the sky is the limit. I mean, I don't know how much farther he can get up on this chart, but it's going to be fun to see.
Yeah. Tim, what do you think, buddy?
Yeah, man. I mean, the dude just turned it on in the second half of the season. We talked about the struggles early on, and, we kind of made the comments that, it's almost something you have to go through as a first-year starter. There's no success without struggle. And, Jordan is clearly a guy that learns from mistakes pretty quickly. And you can see he really just hit his stride here in the second half of the season and is really just seeing the game well. Things have slowed down for him. Balls out on time, in rhythm. He's making the right reads, the right checks pre-snap. All these things go hand in hand, and it's not a coincidence that he's right up there at the top. I mean, we can talk about cutter numbers and everything else too, but things have just he's on the ascent, and it's what you want when you're going into the playoffs. You want to be hot rolling into the playoffs, playing your best ball. You don't want to be plateauing or falling off. So at the very least, I fully believe we are going to get treated to an absolute great game tomorrow afternoon. For sure. I disagree with Keyshawn Johnson, who said yesterday that the Cowboys were going to boat race the Packers. I don't see us getting boat race, guys. I think this offense is going to go up pretty well against this tough Dallas defense, and we're going to put points on the board. This game's going to come down to our defense playing well and limiting the explosives on the other end. So I think we're going to get a great game tomorrow, guys. Close game favors us, man. As long as we're in it, we got a chance.
Absolutely, man.
You guys think that at the beginning of the year or even before the season started, that if you would have told the average Packer fan that Jordan Love is going to be top 1 or 2 in most statistical categories that matter for quarterbacks down the stretch, he'll be number 2 in passing touchdowns, the Packers will make the playoffs with the injury bug as it is, with the defense giving up as many points, but hey, we're going to be in the playoffs placing the Cowboys. Do you think anybody, 1, would have believed you, and 2, would have called the season not a success? But I guarantee you right now, there's still half the fan base that thinks that this season, for whatever reason, was a failure, even now. And especially if we go on to lose, and if we do, God forbid, get boat roast by the Dallas Cowboys, who on paper are a superior team. I hate to say it.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
It's a good thing the game's not played there, right?
Well, and it's just, I think that we need to take a step back. Again, I've talked about it. I feel such a weird sense of calm going into this game, even still, because it's like, what's the quote, Clayton? We're playing with the house's money, son. So I'm throwing down crazy bets, and I don't even care. I'm not sweating. I'm like Chris Moneymaker with those glasses on, dude. I don't even care.
I think you're right. If we'd have said that, at the beginning of the year, a lot of people would have been like,
"You sure about that? You sure about that?
Week 7.
You sure about that?
You can just go back to week 6 or 7, Jacob, and people were like, it's so. I mean, during that little dip there, and I'm not going to BS. I was sitting here like, all right, let's see. Here are the questions we're trying to get answered, right? All right, is Jordan Love the guy? Right now, it's looking like probably not, but we got to give him the whole season. We got to. And you give him the whole season and boom, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, it's so important to put things into perspective. And you, all I can think of is Matt LaFleur on that sideline, absolutely livid. I mean, livid on the sideline. You got to give the coach credit. That dude pulled every ounce of good out of this team that he possibly freaking could. And now everybody's giving Aaron Rodgers the credit for how Jordan Love's turned out. And I'm going, hold up a minute. Aaron was coming off of, first of all, let's go all the way back. Quarterback coach, Washington. I won't say the name of the mascot because people will get upset because everybody's soft in this damn society. But even though I'm a quarter Cherokee, or 8th Cherokee, I should say. So Matt LaFleur goes all the way back to Washington. Rookie of the year, quarterback. He was the quarterback coach in Robert Griffin III, right? He goes to Atlanta. Matt Ryan wins MVP, and he was the quarterback coach there. You go to L.A., Jared Goff takes them to the Super Bowl, right? If I remember correctly, Matt LaFleur was the OC that year, right? One of Jared Goff's better years. He goes to Tennessee, obviously didn't do much, didn't have much to work with. He comes to Green Bay. He's in Tennessee 1 year, comes to Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers coming off one of his worst statistical seasons of his career. And bang, back-to-back MVPs. Like 2019, obviously not. 2020 MVP, 2021 MVP, right? 2022, Aaron's banged up, broken thumb, what have you. And now Jordan Love all of a sudden is playing like a top 10 quarterback. Some would say a top 5 quarterback. And now it's just Aaron Rodgers. When is Matt LaFleur ever going to get credit for what he's done? That's my question. Because he has literally had he has had quarterbacks play great under him every single step of the way other than Tennessee, which I think we would all agree was a complete kind of rebuild, rehaul of that Titans team that year. So I'm not one to throw out like exaggerations like that, But when I seen that come across Twitter and people literally, like somebody tagged me in the tweet and was like, man, look at what he's done so far in his career. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And people in the comments are like, are you really going to give him credit for that? Aaron's the one who trained Jordan. I'm going, hold up. So
Tom Clements.
Yeah, like no one else. And here's the thing, too. And you guys know I love Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers is the first to tell you Jordan Love's the real deal. Aaron doesn't say, hey, listen, guys, I trained him up. He's constantly talking about Jordan is the real deal. Told everybody during that stint we were just talking about it. Everybody needs to calm down. Yep. Stop trying to label him as one of the greatest when he does good and stop trying to dog him when he does bad. There's going to be ups and downs, but this kid is the real deal. You got to be patient with. That's what he was saying on the McAfee show. People choose not to hear that part of the McAfee show, but anyway.
Yeah. And they refuse to acknowledge that Aaron was a good – basically what we're talking about is Aaron was a good teammate throughout this process.
Absolutely, and that's the reason they won't acknowledge that. You're exactly right.
You know, and Aaron was we all know the story when he came to Lambeau and kind of rubbed Brett Favre the wrong way there with some of his old man comments and things of that nature. And you had Brett talking about, well, you know, it's not necessarily my job to train my replacement, that kind of thing. Everything kind of worked out in the end. But I think with Jordan, we just talked about his character. You know, I'm sure Jordan came here pretty humble and ready to learn, you know, put his head down into the playbook and just sit behind one of the GOATs and just observe. And you see it in his game right now. You're blind if you're not going to acknowledge some of the similarities in Jordan Love's approach out there on the field. There are some throws we've seen this year that are very reminiscent of AR-12. So I think all in all, Aaron, it's not about who's responsible. I'll tell you who's responsible for Jordan Love's success. It's Jordan Love too, you know? So I think Aaron was just a good teammate throughout the process, and people like to gloss over that.
Yeah. I think that's where you got to give Goody and Mark Murphy credit. He created the perfect situation for Jordan Love. Might not have been perfect for Aaron. I think we would all agree, although it did cause Aaron to raise his game up. I think that factor comes into play too, but they literally created the perfect recipe to have another great quarterback in Green Bay. Notice I didn't say Hall of Fame. Notice I didn't say elite. And notice I didn't say just good. I think that's where he's at right now. Second half of the season, he is a great quarterback, and he has the opportunity to step into that top 5 elite status next year if he continues to play the way he does. But we'll shift gears here and jump over to defense for just a second. I want to hit Jen Wright's comment. She says, Joe Barry shows up, Clayton. Not a screenshot of this. It'll look a little weird when I screenshot while we're live. It comes up a little fuzzy, but someone else tagged me in this or tweeted at me with this. It was at This Is Matthew 97 said, Joe Barry's defense facing elimination. 6 points allowed against San Francisco, January 22nd, 2022. So only gave up 6 points.
Oh, I was at that game.
17 points against Minnesota on New Year's this year. He was actually wrong. He corrected in the comments. It was actually only 10 points, which should have been 3 because we got obviously a muff punt there that led to a touchdown, but we'll say 10. 20 points against Detroit, January 8th, 2023. 17 points allowed against Minnesota, December 31st, 2023. That's the one right there that he meant 10. I'm sorry. So the other one was obviously last year's January 1st game. And then 9 points allowed against Chicago, January 7th, 2024. So facing elimination games, Joe Barry's defense has only given up 6 points, 17 points, 20 points, 10 points, and 9 points. So
what's that magic number we always talk about, right? Under 20. Yeah.
Keep it under 20. Yeah. If you keep it under 20, you've done your job as a defense. You should be able to win a ball game. Now, do I want one that keeps them consistently under 15? Hell, give me 2 of them. I'd love that. That would be great. You know what I mean? But Jen Wright, I think you make a great point there. Is he perfect? No. Could we do better? Yeah, absolutely. We could do better at DC. I believe that. But this thought that they're just because people want to dig deep into the archives to find some kind of analytics to prove they're actually bottom 3. And I love following it up with, okay, Einstein, you can only pick one. Would you rather have your DVOA or would you rather have points allowed? I'm going with points allowed 99.9 plus 0.9% of the time, personally, because at the end of the game, they're not looking up going, I wonder what that metric says about. No, they're looking at the scoreboard going, did we win or lose? It's just wild. And the situational aspect of football is just, it gets thrown to the side with these analytics. You guys heard me the chart I just broke down. The deep dive on the analytics is so important. It is. It's just we lose sight sometimes into what actually matters, and that's wins and losses. But wanted to recap this too. You know, we talked about this earlier in the year. A couple Packer fans roasted me on Twitter about it. I pointed out that in 1992, when Brett Favre took over in Green Bay after Don Majkowski, hurt his ankle, the Packers went on to be 9-7. They missed the playoffs, right? Then in 93, they went 9-7 again. They lost in the divisional round. 94, 9-7 again, lost in the divisional round. Then in 95, 11-5, lost in the conference round, and then 13-3 in 96, where they won the Super Bowl, obviously. So I wanted to point out that 92 team, what if we could get the 9 wins? I said, we're tracking 9 wins, and a couple knuckleheads jumped in there and said, you think we're tracking 9 wins? You've lost your mind. One of them deleted their account, and I can't find the other one. I tagged they're missing. We'll have to put his butt on a milk carton, just like we did Adam Shine earlier this year. But really cool to see the parallels here, Jacob. When you go back in history, 92, 9 wins, 93, 9 wins, 94, 9 wins. Essentially, Jordan Love's first year starting, he's 1 year ahead of where Brett was. And Aaron Rodgers only won 6 games that year. And I know wins are not a quarterback stat. I got you. Every other statistical category, to the best of my knowledge, for the most part, Jordan Love has surpassed both of those quarterbacks. So not saying he's a Hall of Famer. He's got to put it together consistently. But this is pretty cool to see that we finish 9-7. Just like the 92, 93, and 94 Packers did. And I'm telling you right now, like Mark Tauster said the other day, Jacob, next year, we're not going to be able to be this underdog. Next year, you watch. Even though there's a good chance we don't beat Dallas tomorrow, even if we lose that game tomorrow, if we compete next year coming out, people are going to be going, hey, Green Bay's a top 3 NFC team. So the target's right back on our back, dude. What do you think about those numbers, though, Jake, as far as the history?
I mean, first of all, if you want to bring that back up, it really is shocking to see in my literal adult lifetime, just the dominance that the Packers as an organization has had. I mean, you look up at that board, one losing season, basically.
Right.
That's amazing. And then if you were to extend that out another 20 years, basically, you'd see pretty much the similar stats, if not even better. And then we talked about it, the quote unquote youngest team in the league. Well, we have 14 draft picks, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to end up probably being the youngest team, I would guess, next year, but with a really good group of second and third year players like we've talked about. And man, I'm just super excited about that. As far as just this year and the similarities, you can't help but be, I mean, we've all seen the comparison stats. I sent one to you guys in the group chat. I can't remember exactly what it was talking about. Wasn't it total passing touchdowns of any team in the organization? I believe it's the Packers by about 100, and then followed by the Saints, the Patriots, and someone else. And it's unreal to see that grouping. It's going to be hopefully another 10, 15 years of people just being like, what in the heck is in the water in Green Bay? What are they feeding these dudes? It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing, too, that someone tagged me in this morning, let me get it pulled up real quick. It was about Matt LaFleur. I've got a ton of content for us to cover, and we're just randomly going through the internet here, grabbing stuff. It's hilarious.
Like you talked to me earlier, though, real quick. How is Matt LaFleur not won Coach of the Year yet?
Because he had Aaron Rodgers.
But I'm just saying, come on, man. After what we talked about, it's just insane.
And to
I
me,
thought he should have got it when his first year, when he walked right in here, and we went from not making the playoffs, finishing below 500, and he in one season turned us into a 13-3 team. Yeah. To me, that first year should have been a shoo-in, but yeah, I think this year he ran into another great story. The other conference there, D'Amico Ryans, unfortunately, is probably going to run away with Coach of the Year. Yeah, this year,
and rightfully so. If I was voting,
yeah,
you know what I mean. I would have to vote for D'Amico Ryans. It's just bad freaking.
It'd almost be cool if they would just separate it, right? You get an AFC Coach of the Year and an NFC Coach of the Year.
Didn't Brett Favre and Barry Sanders split the MVP one time?
No, that was Brett and Adrian Peterson.
Was it?
Yeah, they shared the MVP, which is that's another thing we can talk about.
I know Steve McNair and Rich Gannon split it 1 year. I remember that. Yeah.
Let's just call it what it is. I mean, the MVP award is the Quarterback of the Year award. It's nearly impossible to win an MVP as another position player. So I don't know. Maybe that'd be kind of cool. I feel like Tyreek Hill's in the argument this year for MVP, and we all know he's not gonna get it. Right. So it's just kind of the way things go. But I gotta believe at some point Maddie's gonna get a Coach of the Year. some point.
Yeah, you would think so. This one came from Soren Sodergren, I think, as I'm saying that correctly. Tagged me in this and said, "Where is the respect, NFL? Matt LaFleur's record, 57-30. That's a 655 winning percentage, second only to Don Shula and Vince Lombardi. Led the youngest roster in NFL history to the playoffs. Wins despite terrible defense." I like how they try to throw that in there. Terrible being top 10 scoring defense. But still, I like the energy here. Revived Rodgers' career at 37, developed Love into an elite quarterback. That's the one where everyone came up. Are you really giving him credit for developing Jordan Love? Who? It was crazy as Aaron wasn't even here in the offseason. Like, he didn't come to OTAs, but somehow, some way, he was training Jordan Love here in Green Bay while you know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing here? So I thought that was
cool to follow on Twitter. He's a good follow. Good content for sure.
Good deal.
I have to correct you. I looked it up. It was Barry Sanders.
I thought it was Adrian Peterson.
Nah.
What year was that Adrian Peterson got it then?
AP came on way later. Yeah, he was in the when was AP drafted? I want to say it was around 2000. Am I thinking right?
Yeah,
something like that. But
he did win MVP, right? I'm not tripping on that.
Yeah, he did. I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
Barry Sanders to this day is still my favorite football player ever.
Oh yeah,
he was so much fun, man. So much fun. Let's cover the bad news real quick. You want to? If there is any, really. I mean, other than you've got an entire NFL roster on the injury report here, for the most part, I feel like it's good news, Tim. Questionable Jair Alexander obviously did not participate since he rolled his ankle, since Rob Domofsky put him in a what was his name? Not Kurt. Who was the guy? Ken Shamrock. He put him in the Ken Shamrock ankle lock down there at Lambeau or at the Don Hudson Center. So Jair Alexander is questionable. Obviously, you guys know it's a 50% chance he plays tomorrow. AJ Dillon doubtful. And as far as Jair, listen, if he's not 100%, if he's only 90%, I don't want him on the field. I'm just being honest with you. With the tape I broke down here recently and the rust that he's still got, now he's going to be trying to make it through with an injury. Unless he's 100%, I don't want him on the field. I don't. I feel like this defense will be more comfortable with the guys that they've got, minus someone who's going to be hobbled and then still trying to knock rust off from being injured all year long. That's not to take a shot at Jair. I'm just being real. Like, I want the guys that are on the field to be as close to 100% as freaking possible. And I don't want
we won't know the answer to that until at least an hour before the game at the earliest, probably. It'll probably literally game time decision with him.
Yeah, they'll hold that one close to the vest. I thought you were talking about him actually being 100%. I was thinking, no, we'll never know. They won't come out and go, well, actually, you never know exactly how hurt he is. AJ Dillon, doubtful. Obviously, that means there's only a 25% chance he'll play. And then Christian Watson is questionable, a 50% chance he'll play. So I think there's a chance they take Christian out there, especially with it being indoors. The hammies the hammy can stay warm, a little bit warmer indoor. Obviously, you have less of a chance of tweaking it, pulling it even worse. But obviously, it most likely, a good chance of it being the last game of the season, with it being a possible elimination game. You just got to kind of lay it all out there. And some people are probably saying the same thing about Jair. Clay, just put him out there, man. What do you got to lose? I'm watching the freaking tape, and I'm telling you guys, it's right now, it's a liability right now. And I'm not talking about the ankle. I'm just talking about when you turn on an explosive play and you go, everyone else on the field is playing zone but one guy, and they get burnt for a first down on third down or whatever it was, the sit route there it was kind of the spot route from EQ. It's like, how many times do we got to see this happen before we acknowledge, okay, let's just go with who's healthy and who's playing their freaking assignments? If Justin Fields had seen DJ Moore on that crosser when they were playing cover 3 and Jair just completely bailed on his zone, I probably would be buying a new monitor, because I'm telling you, bro, I was so freaking mad watching that on replay. Like, how do you have that much freedom within a defense that, forget my whole third of the field, I'm just going to sink down on this route? It drives me insane. So, again, if he's healthy and he's good to go, love it. He played better last game than he had here recently, but still grading out in the 50s as far as like where he ranks in the NFL. I think he was 51st last time I seen, 51st best cornerback. Like, let's be smart about that. On their side, though, it looks like Stephon Gilmore was limited the last 2 practices. He doesn't have a game status, so I'm assuming he's good to go. You got to list the game status if there's a chance they don't play, or else they will kind of do a little investigative work there and possibly hit you with a fine for withholding information. But he had a injured shoulder, obviously. The other one is Cooper Rush, the quarterback, backup quarterback, questionable. Obviously not a concern there. So to me, it looks like Dallas is healthy, guys. So they're going in. Obviously this doesn't include the IR guys, which you have Diggs, right? Their best corner. Well, was their best corner before this year. Now it's looking like it might be Bland, but yeah, you're going to be missing him, obviously, but they're still stacked at the cornerback position. Were you going to say something, Jacob?
I was, because I didn't really think about this, and it kind of just gave me a weird feeling. Omar said that AJ Dillon likely played his last game in Green Bay. Think about that. Could be. I mean, that honestly could be, which is really sad in a way. Yeah. I hope that's not the case, to be honest.
Yeah, I hope it's not either. And here's the way I see that playing out. There's going to be it's multifaceted, right? There's multiple factors here. What's the running back market look like? It's Dookie, right? Yeah. So that's in our favor. Hate it for AJ. Sorry, bub. I know you're over there farming right now, but we'd love to have you back. I want you back. But if he goes and hits the market, I think what'll happen is I don't think they'll just extend him, and I could be wrong, but I think they'll let him test the market. He'll come back with his best offer, and I think there's a chance that you sign him back. What's the number? Let's go around the horn here. Cap hit per year. I'll start with you, Tim. I'll go first. What's the maximum number that you would pay AJ Dillon to have him back? Cap hit per year. My number, you got to say the first thing that comes to mind for me, it's 3. It's $3 million per. Tim, what's yours?
Yeah, I'd be somewhere around that too. Also keeping in mind though, if anyone's going to give this team a discount, it's going to be AJ Dillon. Like you talk about a pay cut or kicking the can down the road, that's the guy that is willing to do that to stay here. I do think there's some logic to the thought that we maybe let him test that terrible market. But I almost think that's a formality because I think AJ knows what's up. I don't think he's going to look around too much. And I don't think something like $200,000 or $300,000 or even $500,000 here variance, you might get a little more from another team, might offer you, somewhere in that realm. I don't think that's enough to make him uproot his life and leave Green Bay. He loves it here. He's a Scotty guy now, fully bought in. I think a lot of that does contribute to the decision making when it comes to a player like that. I think he does hold that in high regard. So at the end of the day, it may not, the numbers may not be that important here. It may just be whatever they're willing to get done. AJ is going to sign it, so that's how I feel.
Yeah, the majority of the chat seems like they agree. AJ doesn't want to leave. What do you think, Jacob? What number would you put on AJ Dillon?
I mean, I was real high on I would love to do. I don't know.
It's cool if it's higher. Say it.
I mean, I was comfortable with 5, because, but that'd be on an extended deal, I guess, maybe with kind of a tapering off as he gets, do one of those Goody deals where you don't lowball the guy necessarily, but you maybe extend a little bit and give him the option to cut the tie after a year or two kind of thing.
Yeah.
But in the same freaking vein, I really hope that we figure out a way. Maybe we just restructure the whole running back room completely because I need Aaron Jones on this team. If you tell me you got to pick one door, and if Aaron Jones is your guy, we have to dump AJ Dillon off a cliff. I'm sorry, AJ. You better
right. No, I'm with you there. Yeah.
That's the tough one right there. Just thinking about that makes my head hurt. The real thing we're uncovering here is very little chance, I believe, that both of those guys will be Packers next year. Unfortunately,
don't say that, Tim.
Hey, who knows though? I've been wrong a lot of times, and it worked out great for us. So hopefully, I am wrong. We'll see. But hey, Emmanuel Wilson shows some promise. There's a little bit of depth there from this last draft, and who knows what's going to happen in this one. But hopefully they do. They keep the guys together one more run here, another couple years. We'll see.
Yeah, for sure. AJ Dillon, according to Spotrac, his calculated market value is 3.5 annual salary. So what they did was they compared him to Ezekiel Elliott, Perrine, I think, or Perini. I can't remember how you say that name. I think it's Perrine. Yeah. Damian Harris and Gus Edwards as far as productivity, age in which they signed the contract, the length of the contract, all that. So what they're saying is, probably 1.5 years is what the average came out to. So they're saying 3 years, 10.3 million, 3.4 per. So a little bit higher than what I said. and a little bit lower than what you said, Jacob. I think, Tim, you agreed with me, I believe. So we're right there in that ballpark. I would be okay with that contract bringing AJ back. That's what I'm saying. Like 400,000, no big deal, right? And I think he's someone who knows the offense. He's shown that he's effective in the passing game this year. If he had been healthy, I think people would be really, really surprised with his passing game productivity this year, especially with Aaron Jones being out. So what would it take to keep them both? And listen, I'm throwing out just some very loose numbers here, but if I remember correctly, Aaron Jones's cap hit next year is $17 million. Okay. AJ Dillon obviously doesn't have a contract. If we bring him back at $3.5 million, you're probably what you're gonna do is the same thing you did this year with Aaron Jones. It'll probably be a little less percentage wise amongst running backs. But if you bring Aaron Jones back and restructure his deal the same way they did this year, and what they did was they didn't necessarily kick the can down the road. They said, hey, would you like to take a pay cut? So they converted some of the salary, some of the roster bonus to signing bonus, cut him a check, and trim that down to whatever it was. He still ended up being one of the top paid running backs in the league. You can do the same thing if you feel like he's going to stay healthy. I mean, what we're seeing here recently, it gives me more and more confidence that that's the route we should go. So essentially you could, let's say you could shave off $5 million off of his cap hit number and keep him. I think that's a big move for Green Bay, a big move.
What if
freeing up roughly $20 million if Bach isn't on the roster? If Bach comes back, I think you'll still be freeing up somewhere around $7 or $8 million if they restructure. And I'm simply saying there's no way Bakhtiari is going to be playing on a $40 million cap hit next year. It's just not going to happen. So I don't say it's not going to happen often. I don't see that happening at all. So are you going to say something, Jacob, or no?
Well, yeah, I was wondering, actually, Carly mentioned something kind of similar to that. So in my head, if you can restructure, or I hate to say it, but get rid of Bach at this point, I'm kind of at that point in his career. I just don't know if you keep dumping more money into that guy. But if you simply just wanted to try and keep AJ, I forgot they're both technically AJ. But if you wanted to try to keep Jones and Dillon, would you maybe give them, so let's give them a real base, like the $3.5 million base salary, but then have a lot of incentives built into that contract. So just a performance base, like, hey man, for every 100-yard game you get another 100 G's, or something along those lines. Right. If you get over 10 rushing touchdowns, you get another $500,000 kicker. Like really make it that carrot and stick approach kind of thing, and really put that incentive there. So that'd be fun. It'd be fun to watch too, because like we thought about, remember all the guys that were coming up to possible paydays at the end of the season? It's like, get that guy the bag, dude. Yeah,
what was it Jordan got? Was it something like $750,000 for them making the playoffs? I think that was he got some kind of bonus. I remember we were talking about it. No wonder he's out there shoveling snow and digging people out, man. My man was feeling good. He's like, you kidding me? He's out getting
money. Was on his way to the casino.
Oh, no. Don't say that, Tim. That rumor will get started. Look at us. We'll be trending here in a minute. Packers Total Access said that Jordan Love was gambling at the casino when the team traveled to Dallas. So, oh my God, I can hear it now. I think it's an interesting conversation for sure. As far as Aaron Jones, though, talking about how well he's playing here lately, here's a little Baldy breakdown of Aaron Jones. So let's hit it real quick. Brian Baldinger on Twitter, great follow, great breakdowns. Some people complain because he's recording with his phone on the screen. I could care less. I can see what he's talking about. I don't care about production quality. I would rather drop my ego like some people need to do, shut the hell up and listen to a former 11-year NFL vet break down gang tape. But here's Brian Baldinger on Aaron Jones.
Running backs get hot too, just the way quarterbacks do, the way pass rushers do. You watch this right here, and right there, Harrison Phillips is up the field. But it doesn't matter if you made the block, didn't make the block. That's Ivan Pace Jr. He goes low, he makes a miss. But this is what you got to look at. Like, watch him, the contact balance that he demonstrates. So he gets hit at 1 yard, and then he gains 4 more yards. Like, watch, this is contact balance here. This is what we're talking about right now. Like, watch where he gets contacted and watch where he finishes. All right, they block back right here in this toss. So the contact takes place right here, there. Now watch where he finishes this run. 4.5 yards further. So
4.5 defenders.
Nobody's run for more yards in the last 3 weeks than Aaron Jones. All right. So when you have to defend him here, defend him here, Aaron Jones. Nobody's run for more yards in the last 3 weeks than Aaron Jones. All right. So when you have to defend him here, like he glides through these holes. Here comes the blitz. He sees it. It's picked off. Now watch him stay on Jenkins right here. Again, contact balance right there. Running through the contact, picking up an extra 3. He ran for 120 yards against a good Viking defense. And this was the biggest run of the day right here. I mean, Jordan Love under center a whole lot for the play-action game. But then the line has been working together real well. So here's the cut. Now, here's the glide. Here's the free safety Cam Bynum. He's in perfect position to make the tackle, but he doesn't. He runs right through it. And then there's a stiff arm. There's a lot of extra yards when he gets into the alley, into the secondary. The Cowboys are going to have their hands full with Aaron Jones. If he gets to 20 carries, it's a good sign for the Packers.
There you go. That's the magical number, according to Brian Baldinger. 20 carries, you get Aaron Jones to 20 carries. There's a good chance Green Bay coming out winning that game. So, what do you guys think? I mean, he's leading the league in rushing, if I understood him correctly, in the last 3 weeks. So, hey,
I'm so glad Baldy brought it up, because I feel like what doesn't get talked enough about with him is his vision as a ball carrier, and just the smallest little seam, just to be able to see him find a way to slip in, and you give him just a little bit of room, and he'll see it. His eyes are downfield. And then for a back with his body type and size, the way he protects that football is mind-boggling. You just watch him just getting absolutely hammered by these guys, and he's not coughing it up. You know, he can be borderline a power back when he wants to. When he gets that pad level down, and you talk about him finishing runs, I mean, it's great. Really great to see, man.
Nav in the chat says people don't realize Jonesy has the 6th highest career average yards per carry of all time. I know there was multiple years. It's like, well, Aaron Jones, when we were underutilizing him under Mike McCarthy, it's like he finished over 5 yards a carry. Well, he can't sustain that. And the next year you come out and he averaged 5 yards a carry. It's like, holy cow. Solid.
If you guys remember Ryan from our very own Packernet podcast, he says this every year. He's like, because I've been listening to Ryan for years and years now, and he's like, Aaron Jones averaging 5.5. It's not sustainable. Year 2, he's like, all right, Aaron Jones averaging 5.3. It's great, but it's not sustainable. And then the next year it was like the 6 average, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna stop saying it's not sustainable. He's just gonna do it, I guess. And
I was guilty too, man. I was saying the same thing. That's not normal. We can't expect that. And he'd come out next year and do it. Jen Wright says Jones retires a Packer or I riot. I love it. Absolutely love it. Protect Aaron Jones at all costs there. Here's another Baldy breakdown. I thought this was cool. This is a little bit quicker. It's harder to hear. I apologize on the pod, but check this out, guys.
Base is high. Okay, the legs are skinny, obviously, but like the feet are in the ground. Like you got to have a base. Now you look at the movement though. The movement, like you can see that it can sense fear. Okay, but I think that if you put him out in the corner, like I think he can guard your fastest player. We're just breaking things down here at the Hula Bowl.
So he's out at the Hula Bowl, and he caught, what was it, a flamingo? Is that what that was? A crane?
No.
What was that?
That looked like a crane or something.
Yeah. I love it, dude. He's out there carrying a cup of coffee. And I also notice this too, if I take it back here, if I can find it. I want you to look at the dumpster just randomly in the background. That's what I love about it. He don't care what anybody thinks. Look at the dumpster. It's like, where are you at, dude?
Got that cup of diesel going, though.
Oh, you know he's got that cup of diesel. Pinky dangling, just like our boy Larry McCarron. Absolutely love it. Hashtag Pinky Dangle, right? Hashtag it on Twitter for us. What else y'all want to cover? We didn't hit on a quarter of the stuff that I had scheduled, but that's how this rolls, right? So we hit the injury report. We got that out of the way. Let me hit this real quick. Just a simple injury report Rob Demoski put out. Game statuses for Sunday game at Dallas. Doubtful AJ Dillon, questionable Jair Alexander, Christian Watson. Romeo Doubs is good to go. So that's great news. Romeo Doubs is going to be ready to roll. That's exciting stuff.
That's kind of crazy considering he was coughing up blood mid-week.
Yeah.
So,
wow, man.
Dude's a beast.
Yeah.
That's reminiscent of when remember a few years back, Jordy took that shot on the sideline, cracked a few ribs, and threw the flak jacket on and played next week. It's like, gotta love it, man. You can't teach that type of stuff. I don't care what anyone says. You can't teach toughness, man. No. You're either cut from that cloth or you're not. Yeah.
United Bates with the super chat. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. He says, this is Doug's question. Clayton, if you put Ja on Lamb, do you basically have to play man across the board, or can you play a football equivalent of a basketball box and one? There's a thing within zone match that's called Meg, okay? It's called Meg. And what Meg is every man everywhere you go, okay? Man everywhere you go. And essentially what they'll do is they'll come out and they'll say, all right, the call is going to be, let's say we're just going to play a zone defense. Let's don't get into specifics yet, although I'll go down that road in just a second. You're going to say everyone else is playing zone. Jair, you follow him everywhere he goes. That's called Meg. The problem with that is they can manipulate the looks you get on defense. Now, when you play zone match principles, which is essentially if and then, so let's say CeeDee Lamb is lined up in the X. He's on the boundary X, okay? So he's outside, right? Ja follows him there. That's man coverage. Well, let's say they go to a trips look, all right? And you got two other targets over there. So now that's where you get into linebackers trying to cover receivers. And if you're playing zone match, if and then, if they cross my face, then it becomes man coverage. Then you're going to have a linebacker trying to cover a wide receiver in man coverage, right? Not the matchup you want. Also, the run fits. When you think about the run fits, they can manipulate the run fits with the motion now. One of the strengths of playing a primary zone defense is no matter what motion they use, it changes nothing about our run fits. But if they bring Jair in, right, let's say they motion that boundary X into wing and bring him in right between the guard and the tackle, or right between the tackle and the tight end, even right there at the wing spot in the backfield. Jair's got to come over there. Now he's mixed up in the run fit, and watch him get in the way of the mock backer that might have a two-gap assignment there, and they're in there bumping into each other, and now you're susceptible to the outside stretch play. Like, there's a ton of different things that come into play when you play Meg. The other thing, and the reason I mentioned about the different coverages, think about this way. When you play cover 3 and you're just bringing 4, right? 11 minus 4 equals what? 7, right? So you've got 7 guys in coverage. Well, now if you have to minus 1 more, right, because he's playing Meg, now you've only got 6 guys in coverage. So if you go to play a cover 3 Meg, you've got 3 deep and 3 underneath. One of two things are going to happen. The flats are going to be wide open, or that middle hook's going to be wide open, because your assignment's going to be one mid zone, and all you need is a trip set to get people out of Meg. Because what's going to happen is you're going to overload that mid zone where there's only one defender and the other had, flat responsibilities. So put yourself on the other side of the ball. If you know there's a good chance they're going to play Meg, I'm showing a ton of trips and a ton of bunch. That's the other thing too. You put him in Meg and they come out in a bunch set, right? And let's say that he lines up on the inside. So he's playing Meg, right? Or on the outside. Let's say CeeDee Lamb is on the outside of the bunch set. You guys know what a bunch is, right? You've got one receiver and then 2 behind him, right? And they do a lot of switch concept on the release, what we call switch release. So if he's lined up on the outside and that guy switches inside, he's got to fight through all that traffic while these other 2 guys are playing zone. So it just makes things way, 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 way more difficult. It's not as easy as just let's let Jair follow him. You can call Meg every single play. The other thing too is when you call Meg, even when you're in man coverage, what has Jair been doing? He's been trying to pass him off as soon as the ball snaps sometimes. Everyone else on the field was playing man coverage. And I know it wasn't a zone match thing, because there was guys that, the route concept was like a mesh play. If the zone call was if and then, if they go to the flat, then it becomes man coverage. But if they go to a mesh, cross, drag, right, then I pass him off. Then why did Devondre Campbell follow that guy over in the mesh, but Jair didn't? I promise you there's no call in the playbook that says man coverage, Jair. On that side, if they run a drag, if they run a mesh play, you play man, Jair, you let him go. That's why you seen Jair in the hip pocket of another defender and 2 guys were covering 1. Because Jair blew that play coverage. Someone in the chat the other day said that someone confirmed that too on another breakdown, a former player. But Meg is what you're looking for. That's what you're asking for, essentially, Doug. And United Base, thank you for bringing it to my attention. If you play Meg, though, just like everything else in football, you're going to be given something. You're going to become vulnerable in something else. And it's my opinion, when you play Meg, you become vulnerable against the run and these bunch and trip sets. Now, the other thing that comes into play where you're minus another hat in coverage because he's playing Meg, even though he's technically in coverage. If you're still looking to play a cover 3, you're real vulnerable underneath. What we did on the couple of plays that I noticed we played Meg last week, we were actually in a cover 2 defense. We showed what we call invert 2, okay? And essentially with a cover 2, typically a cover 2 zone, the safeties are responsible for deep halves of the field, right? And everyone else is underneath in a blanket zone, essentially. Sometimes you'll have a cover 2 flat where you'll have hard flats underneath off the corners, right? But if someone's playing Meg, you're losing a hard flat there. So a backer or a safety has got to cover that flat, right? But with an invert 2, you've got like they come out middle field close, right? And it was invert 2 Meg, essentially. Jair's on the boundary. He's playing man coverage. Your middle safety had to bail out and cover here. And with an invert, one of the corners actually covers deep half. So that's what an invert 2 is. So what I seen last week was 23 Meg, invert 2. You can run a cover 2 because you're minus a hat and you're still staying strong underneath. The problem is, just like everything in defense, when you take one thing away, you open another up. When you play cover 2, we talk about it. Jordan, remember the huge gasher that he hit Reed on the rail/wheel route? Some people refer to it as a rail route. Some people refer to it as a wheel. I say a wheel because people are more, familiar with that. Why did you hit that one for 56 yards? Because they were in cover 2 zone. You can hit the bunkers. You can hit the base. And if you go base on that specific on one specific play for the Packers last week, we actually ran on that invert. It was actually Tampa 2, Will 2, where Quay Walker covered the seam. But guess what? That opens everything up in the middle. My guess is that his assignment was zone match, that he would stay underneath if the number 2 or the number 3 didn't attack the seam. I don't know if that makes sense. If we had a telestrator, I could draw it up, make it a lot easier, but hopefully that answers your question, Bates. I apologize if that was too confusing. But
I got to run, guys. I got to go to work. I just realized I'm kind of late. All right. Go Pack, go.
Hey,
you get started later.
Go make that money, bro. Go make that money.
Hey, guys.
See ya.
Hey, Jacob.
But United Bates, thank you for the super chat, bud. We appreciate you, man. Tim, what else you got, buddy, as we get ready to wrap this thing up?
I guess talking about Jair, I kind of disagree with you a little bit. I think if he's got any gas in the tank, we gotta throw him out there. Say what you want. He's one of the few on the team with playoff experience. And I personally believe that if we're talking about just CeeDee Lamb, which I'm glad you pulled this up here. This is great. We shouldn't just be talking about CeeDee Lamb because Ferguson is no joke. Cooks can play. Cooks can cook when he wants to. And Michael Gallup, is it Michael Gallup? Yeah, Michael Gallup, that's another guy you got to account for. He's not as deadly as he used to be. But I think when it comes to, a guy like CeeDee Lamb, they're going to move him around a lot. You're going to see him on the boundary. You're going to see him in the slot. I think we need to take kind of a similar approach, and we need to throw everybody we can at him. Maybe it is Jair, Mod or Meg on occasion. And then maybe it's Keyshawn, and then maybe it's Val, maybe it's Bal. It's, we have to try and get after him by committee, so to speak. I feel like I say that a lot, but when we take that approach, we find success. One of the other things I wanted to bring up when we were talking about the injury report here, staying defensively, Zay McDuffie looks like he's going to go and he'll be back in the fold. That's another kind of rotational type of player that we're going to need, because Quay and Dre, they're probably our best 2 linebackers for sure, but we're going to need a guy to rotate in. And you talk about the run fits and the run game, that's Zay McDuffie's bread and butter right there, getting in there and smacking someone. So if you've got fresh legs with him and can rotate him in and get him 15 to 20 snaps or something in this game, it's going to help. Same thing with Preston Smith on the edge. I think we need a heavy dose of LVN in this game. We need to combine that veteran presence and leadership and play with the youth and the fresh legs and the desire to go out there and just hit someone like we know LVN has. So I think that's how we need to be looking at this. We got to throw all 53 that are, well, not all 53, all 40, 48 or however many dress for the game. I think everyone needs to see the field in this one because we need to lean on our stars and our studs, but we're going to need those role players to come in and step up in this game. You know, this Dallas team is tough. Like Jacob said, on paper, they probably should boat race us, but we all know the game's not played there. So in between the lines tomorrow, I think, you know, getting after this Dallas offense with everything we got is going to be the approach I'd like to see, rather than just put Jair on CeeDee Lamb all day. It's like, I don't know if that's going to be the move, you know. But I would like to see John on the field. I really would.
Okay. And what, to your point here too, you know, when you look at how he's graded out this year, it's bad for Jair, 68.2, but still grading out as our highest corner, I believe. I don't have the entire roster pulled up, but I'm pretty sure he's still grading out higher than Ballantyne too. So he, according to PFF, he's still been our best corner this year. I'm just looking at those explosives going, man, the same guy keeps making those mistakes. It's like you get one or two of those in this game against Dallas, and next thing you know, you're down by 14 points. But we may see the Jair that we've seen against the Rams. You know, we might see the healthiest version of Jair if that's the case. And that's the thing too. Like Jair graded out as a 73 this last game, so he
took it out.
Exactly. He looks like he's trending up. You're welcome, United Bates. I actually had that keyed up there too. Mr. Mikey Riggs asked for that. Strap City.
Hey, let's get it back, man. Let's play the whole thing.
Took it down the sideline, turned over with my guys, gave the football to a little kid wearing 23.
Let's go, Jair. I want that Jair back.
Yeah. Hey, and while you're at it, do what Derek K's saying. Get Ballantyne gets a playoff pick right here. Let's go, man. Let's get the Rook involved too. And then Derek K said, while we're at it, why don't we get LV in a couple sacks?
Let's go.
Are we predicting a dominant defensive performance? I don't think anybody is, but that's okay. We can sit here and talk about it on the pod. So we'll see what happens. Let's wrap this thing up, Tim. We just hit the hour mark. I think we did. Let's get out of here before they want us to leave. What else you got to add to this conversation before we roll out, man?
I just think it was great that you know, we were running this clip a lot a few weeks ago.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding?
And now we got playoff football tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
We are there. And I think I'm going to reiterate my point that I brought up all week long. Enough of this. Well, you know, we're just happy to be here. It's great that we made the playoffs. Isn't that great? No matter what happens, they can't take that away from us. Yeah, that's cute. Let's go beat the Dallas Cowboys and shock the world. That's where my head's at right now. You give yourself a chance to win by being in this game. It's that simple. And if there is a team that's going to blow a playoff game at home to a 7 seed, it's the Dallas Cowboys. I firmly believe that. So I think if guys have their head in the game and they bring their A game and we play like we did these last few weeks and we continue this performance, we have just as much of a chance as anybody to beat this team and move on. So I'm fired up for tomorrow. I want to see this young team really go and show what they can do in the playoffs, and go Pack, go, man. Excited. Be excited, people. Don't be nervous for this game. Be fired up. Be excited.
Like Towser said, you're not going to be able to feel like this next year. We're not sneaking up on anybody next year.
Yep.
Let's have fun, man. Let's embrace this underdog role like we've talked about doing all year long. I won't name the Packers podcaster that went on the rant, but there was a rant earlier this year I'll never forget, man. It was during that stint where things were down. And listen, people, we need to stop talking about playoffs. Can we be realistic here? This team's not going to the playoffs. And I was sitting there going, boy, I hope they give you a big crap burger, man. I hope they make the playoffs. Of course, now you don't hear them talking about it. You know, that's how that works. Let's hit.
Oh, we're going to give him some.
We are now. You're right. Rob Domofsky tweeted out, Packers signed cornerback David Long Jr. to the practice squad and released running back Kenyon Drake from the practice squad. Long had been with the team for the month of December. Then Paul Brettel kind of expounded upon it and said, with LaFleur saying Jair will be a game-time decision, we'll guess David Long was added to the practice squad Friday to be an elevation for Sunday's game. He will provide special teams depth where he saw snaps when on the 53, especially if Ballantyne has to start. So Paul thinks that's kind of a precautionary, hey, look, if Jair can't go, you elevate David Long. He can provide some depth on special teams while Ballantyne plays more snaps as a starting corner. Also today, we've got playoff football already cranking up. Here's a quick look at the bracket. Obviously, here are the matchups this week, and then I'll talk about the game times, and we'll get out of here. Philly, number 5 seed, at Tampa, the number 4 seed. You've got the LA Rams, number 6 seed, at Detroit, number 3 seed. Green Bay, the number 7 seed, at Dallas, the number 2 seed. And then San Francisco getting that first-round bye as the lone 1 seed. On the AFC side, you've got the number 5 seed Cleveland Browns at the Houston Texans, which are the number 4 seed. Then you've got Miami, the 6th seed, at Kansas City, the 3rd seed. Pittsburgh, the 7 seed, at Buffalo, the 2 seed, with Baltimore getting the first-round bye as the 1 seed. Now, we look at the game times here. In the NFC, you have got the Green Bay Packers going down to Dallas. Let me try to do it in order here. Today, Saturday, you've got the Cleveland Browns at the Houston Texans, a 3:30 Central kickoff on NBC, okay? That's today, the 4:30, the early game, if you will. The night game tonight, the Miami Dolphins at the Kansas City Chiefs. It's 8:15 kickoff Eastern, so that's 7:15 for those of you Lambeau time on Peacock. People are pissed about that.
Oh, man.
That's wild. That's absolutely.
Let me know how that game turns out.
Yeah, such a money grab. I'll tell you this. They're predicting negative 32-degree wind chill factor for that game. It is going to be brutal. And of all the teams that Kansas City gets to play, it's the Miami Dolphins coming down from sunny Florida or coming up from sunny Florida, right? So those are the 2 games today. Tomorrow, the early game, Pittsburgh Steelers at the Buffalo Bills, 1 o'clock Eastern. That's a 12 noon Central kickoff time on CBS. They're expecting whiteout conditions from snow. So you're going to get another weather game right there. Going to be huge. That'll lead us right into the Packers at Dallas at 4:30. That's going to be on Fox, 3:30 your all time. And then, of course, you've got the late game there for NFC, the LA Rams at the Detroit Lions. That's a 7:15 Central kickoff on NBC. And then, of course, Monday night, you've got the Philadelphia Eagles at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's a 7 Central kickoff on ESPN, ABC, ESPN2, ESPN Plus, and about 7 other channels, I'm sure. I don't know why they do that, but there it is. So, yeah, that's how it lays out. I wanted to point all that out because we got football today, Tim. I hate the people that don't have Peacock aren't going to see that one game. I have Peacock because I'm a big Office fan, but you can bet your rear end I wouldn't have bought it to watch one playoff game either. So I understand the people that are pissed about that. It's mind-boggling that they try to do that money grab real quick. But anyway, with that being said, tonight you're going to get one of the coldest games in NFL history in Kansas City. That night game tonight, kicking off at 7 Central. And then tomorrow's 1 o'clock game, just getting you geared up for the Packers. You should have blizzard conditions, a chance for blizzard conditions in Buffalo. So it's going to be good, Tim. Got to love that football weather, man. Love his sport. So,
yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick before we jump off, this popped into my head. We were talking about the fact that AJ Dillon is probably not going to play, and the possibility that Scoot is going to play is going to be absolutely huge because that's going to free up our ability to utilize, Jaden Reed and even Tay Wicks or Bo Melton in some of these jet motions and out of the backfield kind of swing passes, those type of things. So just Christian Watson, if he can go and be out there, split out wide or whatever, just drawing coverage could be really huge for us offensively. So looking for everyone to contribute. Hopefully Scoot's a go for tomorrow. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So Derek K in the chat said, give me a John Deere green on a hot summer night. He said, or else Clayton gets this right here.
Roadhouse.
I don't want to get kicked off my own stream, so let's go ahead and hit it.
John Deere green on a hot summer night. Hero Billy Bob loves Charlene.
Love to see it. All right, guys, we're out of here. We'll be back tonight for Packers Total Access Live. The plan will be to go live at 7 Central, 8 Eastern. So we'll be going live right around the time the Kansas City game's on. That'll be fun to have it on in the background as we talk a little bit more Packers Cowboys. So big game tomorrow. Tomorrow the plan will be pregame show, postgame show. Last week we had a 4 o'clock kickoff my time. And people were complaining we didn't do a Good Morning Lambeau. So there's a chance we do a Good Morning Lambeau as well. We'll see how that goes, seeing that it's a playoff round. But, yeah, I caught a lot of flack for that. And you know what? I'm glad I did. I appreciate it because it lets me know people are actually enjoying this. So if you guys enjoy it that much, do me a favor, hit the like button so other Packer fans can find this channel, find this content. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. For those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your morning. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. and go Pack, go.